That's Palisades High School. I mean, it doesn't look like it was completely lost, but certainly there's several buildings that have been destroyed there. I can't, really impress upon you much as possible. It's hard to describe the destruction down here. I mean, it's just so devastating. I didn't think this was going to happen. We came up over the hill, the smoke cleared, and what we're seeing down here is like destruction on a scale that we've never seen anything close to this. Not the 92 earthquake, nothing like this. Pan to the left, that I believe is the village. That looks like the Gelsons. That is lost. And as we open up on the bottom of your screen, every single home for the most part is lost. Thousands of homes, and it extends all the way down to the shoreline. It's absolutely devastating. It is going to take years for people to recover from this and to rebuild their homes. It's really going to be a disaster that we're going to be talking about and feeling in Los Angeles for years and years to come, all the way down to the peninsula. That is PCH and Temescal Canyon. All those homes were lost. We're checking on some of the schools. We wanted to look at Palisades Elementary, but I want to pan up to the right and show you the Brentwood area. We do know the helicopters are starting to make some drops once again, and this is Brentwood right there on the right side of your screen. That would be the western portion of Brentwood, and you can see right down in that ravine, the red line, that's the FOS check, and see how that FOS check stopped the fire from spreading up and over the hill, and that is what the air tankers do. They drop down retardant, stops the fire from spreading into the areas they're concerned about, but there's still a lot of concern with this. Right now the winds are calm, but if we get a huge wind gust or we get a huge change in the winds and it starts to burn down towards this area, you can tell those homes in there are impossible to protect. There's no way you're going to save those if we start to get those 70, 80 mile an hour winds once again. So we're really at the mercy of Mother Nature right now. But the devastation here is just difficult to describe. We use things like war zone. This really looks like a war zone. It looks like bombs were dropped on this entire neighborhood. And unfortunately, there's still a large area to the west up towards Malibu that we just can't see yet because of the smoke. Let me give you a wide shot and give you a little perspective. We're basically over the 405 freeway at Getty Center Drive, and we're looking to the west, right along the shoreline. That area of Palisades is lost, but there's a lot of homes lost underneath all the smoke that we have not been able to get to. But once again, it's just heart-wrenching. I mean, these people, thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people, if you figure out how many are in each one of these homes, tens of thousands at least, don't have a home to come back to, and they have to find a place to go. And I mentioned the issue with the insurance industry. That is a huge deal as well. A lot of these folks may not have been insured or fully insured, and you could lose your life savings in a situation like this.
And Scott, we're talking about the Palisades fire and the complete devastation you're showing us, and we're not even touching on the Eaton fire yet, which may be almost as terrible, it sounds like.
It could be. We tried to get up in there. We flew to the Eaton fire first, and that's basically up to in the Pasadena area, up in the mountains along Pasadena. It came down through Altadena, and it was just too smoky. What happened with the Eaton fire, it's consuming a lot of acreage to the north, up in the Angeles National Forest, that really thick brush and that steep terrain. And as that burns and the wind blows from the north to the south, all the smoke is hanging down over Pasadena and Altadena, and we just couldn't get in there to really get a look. And initially, when we took off out of Van Nuys, I think it was around 8:30 this morning, we couldn't see any of this, and all of a sudden the wind shifted a little bit, and then, to our dismay, all of a sudden this was actually exposed to us, this devastation here in Palisades. I think I heard Josh Haskell mentioned on one of his reports that they may have lost 50 to 70% of the Palisades, and I thought, wow, really? And now that I look at this, that could be correct.
And Scott, in the news conference, Mayor Bass warned Angelenos to proceed with caution as air and ground firefighting efforts continue. Other public officials are also warning about touching debris and drinking tap water in these impacted areas. From your view, are you seeing a lot of people coming back to these devastated neighborhoods to survey the damage?
No, I'm really not. In a situation like this, once you've been evacuated, the Sheriff's Department or the Police Department, whether Santa Monica PD is helping out, they're just not letting anyone back into this area. They're just not going to let you back in. I mean, basically, there's the threat of winds kicking up once again and then fire moving back through this area. They don't want anyone in their way. They won't even let you in. If you say, I need to get to medicine or something like that, in some situations they may, if it's clear. But if they say you have a family member, they'll go up and they'll try and get the family member. They usually don't let the residents go back up into that area. So we're not really seeing anything of that nature, people trying to get back into this area, because for the most part, law enforcement has just shut it down.
And Scott, were you able to see any aircraft in the area? I know you can see the smoke in the distance and some hot spots, but are there aircraft fighting the fire?
There are 7 helicopters fighting the fire right now. Most of those helicopters, though, are on the other side. They're on the Malibu side. And what you can see here, there's really not much of a threat to this area any longer. It's just gone. Every single home is gone, and the fire is burning up in the hillside. You've got that little speck of fire there, and that is burning towards the Brentwood area. And then the helicopters, tilt up, Marcel, the helicopters are up in that area on the other side of the smoke, and they're making drops. But we saw this devastation right here, and we started to cover that. We think the tankers will be in pretty soon. And Marcel actually went to the Paradise Fire. I looked at this, and I thought, I've never seen anything like this except for the pictures that I saw from the Paradise Fire. Marcel was at the Paradise Fire, and he said this is worse. So that really gives you some sort of basis on how bad this is.
Yeah, and Scott, I don't know anybody who's covered more Santa Ana fires than you, and you're in the air a lot for these things. Can you talk about the conditions yesterday? Local leaders obviously taking a lot of heat about the response, but talk about those winds and what it means to try and fight a fire in conditions like that.
Yeah, the winds were much too high for the aircrafts to be effective, and much too high for the risk to try and get out here and fly. And a lot of helicopters have you can't start the helicopter at a certain airspeed because the blades will come down and hit the boom. So they have a restriction on starting the helicopter. Not so much you're worried about once you're in the air, but you can't start it and shut it down safely. And for that reason, you don't get out and fly. But we did talk to one of the Chinook pilots and who'd made a drop, who tried to get out in this, and he said the winds were so high they were just unsuccessful. They weren't making any progress. They couldn't drop the water where they needed it. There was too much smoke. It was too dangerous, and they decided not to fly. So over the years, definitely the Santa Anas I've seen, many occasions we've gone back to the airport and landed. It was just too much. A couple occasions I was flying in the gimbal. The gimbal wouldn't even work. It wouldn't even keep our shot steady. I'll give you an idea how bad it was. But this was certainly one of the worst I've ever seen. The wind gust up to 80 miles an hour, and you just can't fly in those. The helicopters can't be successful if they do try and make a water drop. The big tankers, obviously, that can fly, the helitankers in weather a little stronger than we can. And then, of course, the aircrafts, the airplanes, which are so effective in stopping a fire from spreading, they can't fly at anything close to those types of speeds with the wind.
And Scott, it was more than disappointing to learn from LA County Sheriff Robert Luna that 20 people in the county have been arrested for looting thus far.
Yeah.
We know that police are now stepping up patrols in a number of neighborhoods. Where you are, though, sadly, it looks like it's a total loss.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I don't. Looting in this area would almost be nonsense. It seems to me like the Sheriff's Department has everything cut off. They're not letting anyone in this area, even if you have an ID that says you live up in here, they're not going to let you back in. That's just the way it goes. And if you do sneak in, you're going to be caught. I mean, trust me, you're going to be caught no matter what. It's dark here, though. You have to understand there's no power, there's no lights in this area. So once we get towards nighttime, certainly this area is somewhat susceptible to people trying to sneak in. But there's really no reason. You will be caught. They're looking for you. And it's sad that even happens, that somebody's trying to, take advantage of someone else's, devastation like this.
Yeah, you have to wonder if there's a celebrity factor to that, because a lot of celebrities live in this area and a lot of people know they live in that area. And you have to wonder if maybe people think, oh, I'm going to go in there and get some jewelry or something. But to have 20 people arrested for looting in such a short period of time is pretty dramatic. I can't recall it happening in those numbers so quickly.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, it's a very affluent area, right? And I think that is part of it. As you said, celebrities, people that have a lot of money. These homes are worth millions of dollars, and so I think that may be part of it. They're thinking there might be something to get in there and steal. But they're going to catch you. You're not going to get away with it. You're not going to get away with anything. That's the fire station, I believe, and they were able to save that, fortunately. But almost every structure around the fire station here off of Sunset in the Palisades has been lost. But certainly, 20 is a huge number to happen that quickly. But it's also evident that the Sheriff's Department's out there and they're looking for you. And, you just can't drive into this area. Every single vehicle that drives into this area will be stopped.
Wow.
And Scott, we were talking about the weather conditions. Leslie Lopez indicating winds might be picking up again. What are you seeing right now out there?
Yeah, right now we don't see much in the way of winds. It is relatively calm. There's a little breeze out of the north, which is pretty typical. Certainly if the winds kick up once again, everything is going to change, and it's going to change very, very quickly. But right now the winds are calm, and this is the time when firefighters can really start to make some, get on top of getting around this fire a little bit and then maybe make some progress on containment. Now, containment is a long, long ways away, but at least they can start to set up their battle lines, and that is, this is what we're going to protect. We know the winds are coming. They're really good at the most part for picking up what is going to be in the wake of the fire when the winds do kick back up. But there's a hot spot right there. You can see that. Fire crews will probably be on that pretty quickly. And the real issue is, there's a firefighter, the real issue is when you have a hot spot like that and there's no wind, it's not much to worry about. But if we had 60, 70 mile an hour winds, it would be. That would catch the tree on fire, and then it would spread to other homes. But we only see, go to the right a little bit there, Marcel. It's very seldom we see a home or two that hasn't been lost. Almost all of the homes in here are lost. So it's you wonder why, but hopscotch from house to house, why one home was saved and another wasn't. Just luck of the draw, I guess. But really, when we look at this area, 95% of the homes are gone.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel, and download the ABC7 Los Angeles streaming app on Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku to watch on your TV.